Hey, Gary here with you, day 88 AI blogging. We are going to take a little bit of time inside of Google Search Console to first take a look at the fact that we have 100 pages indexed here on July 11th, 2023, as we move towards day 100 of our 100-day case study. The last update for the pages indexed, you can see here, was 7/7/23, but I want to scroll down and bring this into play here. Why pages aren't indexed. And I want to focus in on this one specifically, crawled, currently not indexed, because this one is probably the hardest one, or one of the hardest ones to figure out, because it really relies on the content itself after Google has crawled it and then just chose not to index it or serve it up in the search results. Go ahead and click on crawled, currently not indexed. It brings up the pages that are currently, or that have been crawled but are currently not indexed. And then what you can do is you can click here to inspect them. But the first thing you should do is simply just do this and click and open this in a new tab. And once the blog post loads up, simply just read through it. I instantly see here, this is a pretty weak link. It's an external link to an external site, and it's pretty weak as far as the rich anchor text. Then if you keep scrolling, you're gonna notice some other ones that we have here. As far as the content itself, it probably is a little thin with just really small paragraphs for each one of these H2 headings. But as you scroll down here, and again, you can see just single paragraphs for H2 headings. So we can definitely make this blog post better. But the first thing that I want to fix is these external links and the rich anchor text. And specifically, when you get down here, you're going to see a problem here under this heading here, future perspectives, current state. You're going to see I've linked out rich anchor text, and it is just called source. It's done it 3, 4, maybe even more than that. If you go back and you take a look at day 20, this video right here, there'll be a card. I'll also leave a link in the description. Go back and watch this video, and you'll see back on day 20, we had 18 blog posts indexed. And then if you take a look, I was looking at a specific blog post here that was crawled but not indexed. And then when I open that blog post up in this video, check this video out, day 20, you're gonna see exactly what we're seeing now. And this is an issue of where I just have overlooked, or when I had my editing hat on, it just got skipped over. I published it, and then when Google crawled it, they saw a thin piece of content and they saw the same problem that you see here, source, 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 and it didn't get indexed. Now, if you go into that post and you search for, or you go down to telescopes and binoculars, the heading right before identifying constellations and stars, you're gonna see that source is nowhere to be found. As you see in the day 20 video, I either just removed it or I added an external link. So for this post where we see source inside of this post here, astronomy versus cosmology, understanding the key differences, we're just going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to go back into Grooveblog. We're going to exit out of that. No need to save it. We didn't make any changes. What we're going to be looking for is this blog post right here. And we're going to edit this blog post. Of course, you can see this blog post is live. The problem is that Google crawled it, meaning they scanned it, they read it, but it wasn't a piece of content that they said was worthy of being served up in the search results. And here you can see that first astronomy scope, but if we were just to search for the word source, you can see here we have these very thin pieces of content with these individual paragraphs or just single paragraphs, and then top that off where we have said source as these rich anchor text for these external links. So I'm going to fix that and then, of course, see if we can get this article indexed. And this article is indexed, or this article title is Astronomy versus Cosmology. We will fix that. Then we will come back here and we will click Inspect, because here you can see that the URL is not on Google, but you can also request indexing to have it crawled again. Now this comes into how quickly Google will actually index that. It's not instant. It doesn't like happen. You won't click that button and it index it. You'll have to wait for a couple days, a few days, and see if Google crawls it and then what they give you back and the feedback they give you. Of course, the feedback they give you is the fact that page is not indexed, crawled, currently not indexed. That's all it says. If you go and you actually look here to this information down here for learn more, and I've covered this before on this help page, discovered, currently not indexed, but it's good to go back over this and read these definitions to understand what crawling is. The process that Google puts the page through. You can see here the page was crawled by Google but not indexed. It may or not be indexed in the future. No need to resubmit this URL for crawling. They're saying that they will come back around to it and recheck it. But I typically like to, at least to feel better, once I make the changes that I want to make, either by updating the content and or those rich anchor text links, by go ahead and selecting request indexing. It may not do anything, but it makes me feel better. And again, back to the 100 pages that we have indexed and the 81 pages for 6 different reasons. And you can see all of those 81 pages here. You can go through each one of these, but I wanted to focus on crawl, currently not indexed. Something like not found 404, that's a technical issue. It literally just means the link can't be found. So those can be corrected if they need to be corrected. And then sometimes even after you correct them, they'll still just hang around here. Google doesn't get rid of them. So if you go back to pages and you see the number of pages indexed and you see 100, again, that wasn't updated or hasn't been updated since the 7th of this month. If you just go to Google and you type in site and your site name, as I've done here, you can see about 108 results are shown up when you do a search for your site. So that means 100 pages, posts, categories, all the pages, all the posts that we've created since day 1 up to this day, day 88. 108 results have been indexed. And if you want to use ChatGPT to do this, you can do the same thing. If you have GPT-4 and you have one of the plugins like Web Pilot enabled, you can just simply ask how many pages do you count indexed if you do this Google search, and then do the same search that you would type into Google. And you'll see here that it came back with 108 pages or 108 results. Please note that this number is an estimate and the actual number of index pages may vary. And of course, if you go back to Google Search Console and you trust this as the authority, then as of 7/7/23, again, today being day 88 in our case study, July 11th, 2023, it's telling us we only have 100 pages indexed. And of course, we are going to work on that thin content that we have for that crawl but not index page with those rich anchor text using those keywords or the same keywords, the keyword being source, which is not a valid or not a quality way to do rich anchor text for external or internal linking. So we'll get that fixed, and you can see that in day 20. Again, the link in the description for that, where we've done this once before. So we'll do that again. We'll verify all the other pages that are in there. We'll look for simple fixes like this one where we have just a poor rich anchor text. And then we'll just look and we'll see, and we'll use ChatGPT to look at some of those and say, how can we improve this post? And probably just need to bump up the content, the amount of content, not just adding more words, but adding quality content to the words there that already exist. And then just let Google go ahead and recrawl those as it keeps processing. And then we'll see how many pages we have by the time we get to day 100. If you're having fun, if this was helpful, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you're learning, what you want to see before we get to day 100. As always, thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you next update. Bye.